everyone, and welcome to Seller Strategy. In this week's episode, we're going to explain and talk about seller fees. So if you're just getting started on Amazon or you want to understand how the fees work, stay tuned. We're going to do a deep dive and cover all of the fees that you can expect from Amazon. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are different sections. And we're going to start with the first one, the subscription fee. This is your usual monthly fee of $39.99. Now, you don't have to set up a Amazon professional account. However, it's recommended because if you don't do that, if you don't have a professional account and you just sell from your personal account, Amazon will charge you on a per unit basis, which when you do the math, if you're selling a good number of items, it would end up costing you more than the $39.99 a month. So we recommend that you sign up for the $39.99 a month plan to become an Amazon Pro seller. Number two, the referral fees, also known as the commission fee. These fees are usually 15% per order, but could range up to 45% depending on the category and item that you're selling. Number three, we have your fulfillment fees. This is also known as your FBA fee or pick and pack fee. This is also charged per order and is usually anywhere from $2 to $10 depending on the weight and size of your item. And number four, we have all of your other seller fees, and on the screen you can see we have three, but there could be a lot more fees depending on the situation, the seller, the products, and things like that. But because those are variables and there could be so many of them, we're not going to go into those details. The ones that you see on the screen are what most sellers will encounter. Number four, again, other seller fees such as your storage fees. This is a monthly fee that Amazon charges you. Then you have your long-term storage fee, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Ervin, Amazon charges this twice a year, correct?
Correct, Maria.
Yep, and this is charged on any inventory that is not moved, that you don't sell constantly, for example. And they have some guidelines on this. So, and I would recommend you look this up to familiarize yourself with them. And then number three, a return fee whenever you have an item returned or whatnot. And number five, what most sellers forget whenever they're just getting started to sell and they create their budget, they forget the other section, which these includes things like travel, payroll, because you want to get paid and you may have a VA or employees, or your inventory. How much inventory are you going to get and how much are you going to spend from the get-go? Number three, PPC. If you're already selling, you would know that PPC is just one of those things that you have to do in order to get ranked by Amazon and get seen by customers. And number D would be your shipping, whether it's from your manufacturer overseas to the port, and then from the port to the FBA warehouse, or from the port to your particular warehouse or whatnot. You want to make sure that you account for your shipping correctly, all the way from the manufacturer to the FBA warehouse, to Amazon. Here on the screen, you can see the explanation of fees from Amazon. Right on top, you will see the link directly that will take you to the Amazon page. I would recommend that you visit this so you could read this in detail. But just to summarize it, the fulfillment fee that we reviewed before will depend on your item and the category, whether it's standard size, oversized, small, large, special oversized, whatever it may be. So you want to make sure that you measure your item correctly. Now, I do have one item that it's foldable, and I made the mistake of measuring it incorrectly. When I measured it from the manufacturer, the way I explained it to them, I said, you know what? Set it up and let me know the measurement. And that's what I entered inside Seller Central and what I used when I was doing my budgeting. The problem though is that when the item was folded and it was flat on the table, it went over by about 2 to 3 inches, and that changed my category from small to large, and that affected my fees. A mistake that I made that I wouldn't want you guys to make as well. And then, as you can see here on the screen, we have what Amazon shares with us in regards to the calculation for the monthly inventory storage. So you want to make sure you account for those and calculate them as well. These are just some product examples of what Amazon considers a large standard size, a small oversize, or a large oversize, just to get yourself familiarized with and what the fulfillment fee would be for each. Now, let's break it down. So you've probably seen the fees screen, but what does that look like when you're actually looking at an actual product? In the example that we have here in the screen, you will see that the retail price is $67.99. We're gonna say that this is the 100%. Why? Because this is the amount that the customer is paying. So what's coming out of their pocket and on its way to you. From here, for this particular item, we have the cost of goods sold at 11%, 11% of $67.99, which is $17.29. Then we have the shipping, which is 2.7% at $3.78. We have then the referral fee or the commission fee at 7%, because this item is charged $10.20. And then we have the FBA fulfillment fee at 5%, because it charges at $6.99. And then we have your PPC per item, which varies, but an estimate for this example is 3.4%, which is $5 per item. When you take all of this into account, now this is per order. When you take all of this into account, for every item that you sell, after those expenses that we just reviewed together, you would only have left 16.81% of your retail price, which is $24.73. From here, you have to make sure that you have enough money to pay for things like payroll, travel, any utilities if you have an office or a location where you have your employees, your monthly storage fees, or giveaways. If you've already started selling on Amazon, you know that it's one of the things is recommended is to do promotions or lighting deals in order to increase your sales velocity. You have to account for that because that would be money that you don't receive. Or if you want to be more aggressive and increase your PPC campaigns, you want to make sure that you budget for that as well in those $24 that you have left. And as well, you want to account for any price changes. When it comes to price changes, giveaways, PPC totals, your payroll, any travel, you never want to make decisions without ensuring that you budget them first. Because what happens, and I see this over and over again, that sellers see their paycheck coming in from Amazon, but then after they make the payments for payroll, any travel, the monthly storage fees, they end up negative because they didn't account or budget for these beforehand. So that's why I wanted to share this with you guys, so you could do your budgeting correctly and account for any changes that you want to make correctly as well. One of them being PPC, where usually if you don't do PPC correctly, that's where most of your profit will go to. And if you're already selling, I encourage you to come over to Fetra.com, where we do all of this for you automatically. So you don't have to sit down and try to calculate everything. We will show you all of your expenses, everything that came in, and show you the margin as well. And when it comes to the expenses, we will show them to you in order so you could see which ones you're spending the most of money on. What do you think, Ervin?
I think, again, everything was explained clearly, but when it comes to fees, there's so many variable fees that we can't quite cover here. But I think you've covered most of it that any new seller would need to take into account. I think we got a question here from one of the comments asking, is it expected to make a profit on the very first order on Amazon? And I think that's a really good question and topic to cover, because whenever we launch a product on Amazon, I personally, myself, come with the mindset of I should at least break even, or if I could profit, all the better. But from the get-go, I don't really expect to profit on my very first order on Amazon, especially when I'm doing giveaways. I know it's scary to be in the red, but this is my take on it. So you launch a new product, you don't really have any reviews, so you do some giveaways to get your product ranked on page 1, and then say you got your product ranked on page 1, then organic sales start to drip in. Now, when you're fairly new as well, your PPC campaigns aren't really that optimized, so you're going to tend to overspend on some keywords that may not be deemed relevant by your customers or by Amazon. So you may pay a little bit on that one. Now, as you get your products ramped up and your sales velocity increased, your BSR and organic rankings start to push up higher and higher. But with Amazon as well, say I'm selling this product normally, let's use your example, for $67.95. Let's say that's my target retail price. I'd normally start an aggressive launch having 0 sales or 0 views at a break even or at 15% margin. So let's say, I can't do the math right now, but let's say I price my product aggressively at $49 just to get more sales. So as I get more sales and my velocity ranked up and more reviews come in, then I would have more leverage to slowly increase my price as more and more reviews come in and as my sales go higher and higher. So it may not be profitable on the very first order, but if you've done all the right things and you get your product ranked up in a good position, your PPC is well optimized, then you take a hit right now, but on your second or maybe on your third reorder, that's when you can start raking in the profits and you can actually see your PPC costs drop less because now your campaigns are optimized and you're going to get more organic reviews, which should give you more sales organically instead of just spending money to acquire a customer. What do you think about that, Maria?
I agree 100% with you, Ervin, in that we have to, as sellers, have the right expectations. And thank you so much for explaining how the process works, because it's important to have your expectations set correctly. When they're not set correctly, that's when disappointment happens and you're not sure what to do next. Just to give an example, I love how risky you are. I am the complete opposite, as you know. One of my items, because the cost of goods sold is so expensive, I'm actually bidding on my PPC on very, very small bids, because at least for me, for this item in particular, because it's so expensive, I want to make sure that I sell, but that I make a profit, not so much break even on this first batch because it's expensive. Now I do have other products for those, since the cost of goods sold is cheaper, that I know I can come up with the money and the capital to reorder on myself. I am as aggressive as you, and I'm following your advice. But for this other item, I'm setting my expectations correctly. So this is the exact same thing that we recommend to you guys sellers watching this. Set your right expectations from the get-go and understand the process, which is what Ervin explained before, so you know what to expect. Thanks, Ervin.
Perfect. Absolutely, Maria. Hopefully you guys found this session helpful. If you guys found this session helpful, we'd love it if you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. That way you can keep continuing with the next week's episode and the other week's episode of Sell Strategies, and you can just continue seeing our faces every Friday. Guys, let us know in the comment section below what you think about Maria, and if we might have missed any other fees other than what she's presented and what we've talked about, and we'd love to know what else you guys are paying. That way we can consider that maybe as a feature topic in one of the feature videos as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Remember, keep crushing it on Amazon, and we'll see you next week.
See ya, everyone.
Bye, guys.